Hello and welcome to this episode of Junk Journal with me. Today it's all about decoupaging napkins on various ephemera and then using that ephemera in your journal. So that's what we're gonna do today, and I was inspired for this video by another YouTuber that I recently discovered. Her name is the Ramblin' Crafter. I will link her below. And if you're into rambly videos, she is true to her name. There's a lot of rambling and there are lengthy videos. So if you like that sort of video, please check her out. She has a whole series of how to decoupage napkins and what you can do with them. So if you're interested, go check her out. Otherwise, watch this for a quicker version basically of what she's doing. And so the napkins, I have already taken apart all of them. So usually if you take a napkin, you have to first detach 1 or 2 or 3 layers. Usually it's 2 layers. And I figured by now you know how to do this. If not, you just take a piece of tape, regular tape, not washi tape, and place it on the back anywhere of the napkin and just pull up, and you will pull up the layer and do it with the next layer until you have that one single very thin layer to work with. So I'm taking this piece of, what is it? I don't know. It's a vintage card, recipe card, herb chart actually. And so I decoupaged this napkin on it, and I'm using Mod Podge this time. You know, maybe if you've seen my videos, usually I would use a glue stick, but I wanted to try something different. I'm using Mod Podge this time. It's a matte Mod Podge that I'm using. I have it linked below if you can't find any, but you should be able to get that locally. You can of course also just use the glue stick, or you can also use a matte medium if you have that, a gel medium. So what I'm doing for this one is I didn't want to cover up the whole flashcard. So I am now taking my wet water brush. It could be any brush that you have as long as it's wet, and you just mark the part, or you just go over the part that you want to tear, and it very easily tears pretty precisely where you went over it with your brush. And I love this method. I learned it from you lovely viewers. So thanks again for that. Anyone that hasn't tried it should give it a try. It makes your life so much easier. And so again, I'm just gonna use my Mod Podge with my falling apart sponge brush. And I'm just putting that over a part of it, and I will use another part of the napkin on the left side to have a little more interest there. And I'm actually gonna turn that upside down and have just a portion of that floral image. This is so quick and easy to do. So this flashcard and the previous card, they came in recent Happy Mails. I believe this was from Ari's Happy Mail, which is actually coming. You'll see that in the next video. I didn't want to do too many Happy Mails after each other, so I thought I would actually do this one before I do the Happy Mail one, which I had filmed before, and I thought I was gonna post before, which is why the number of this video is also out of line. And Ari's Happy Mail video will be the next one then, where you will see that I unpack this card. So that's the number 2. Next we have this bingo card, which is from Allison, sorry. Oops. And most of these napkins are also from Happy Mails, by the way. Various Happy Mails. I am so blessed with my Happy Mails. Like I don't even have any words for all the beautiful things I am receiving from you guys. I'm a bit overwhelmed at the moment. So same process. I don't want to cover up the whole bingo card. I wanted to still be able to read the bingo and see some of the numbers. So here I'm just outlining part of that design. And somehow I don't like how this one came out as much, because I thought the white part of the napkin was going to be more transparent than it is. But for some reason it wasn't really. I don't know whether I didn't stick it down well enough or what the deal was, but yeah, I mean, it's okay. But yeah, you'll see at the end. I will go over everything once they're dry again with a Mod Podge layer, just to seal everything in. This will not stay this white. Okay, next we're using this scorecard from Uno, also from Allison's previous Happy Mails. Allison sent me another incredible box with things that I will show you in a future video. I have it sitting right beside me here waiting to be filmed, but yeah, as I said, I didn't want to do too many at once, and I'm kind of overwhelmed at the moment, so it's just sitting there for now. I did unpack it. It's absolutely amazing. She has packed so many things in there. And I also bought a journal from her, an quote unquote office journal, which I am going to put some calligraphy in there. So going back to the video, yeah, this was another napkin from a Happy Mail, and so I put the whole thing over the whole scorecard. And at this point that I'm working with these ephemera pieces, I have no idea what I'm going to make out of them or how I'm going to use them in my journal, but I decided I'm going to tackle that after they're done. So next is a receipt, and I decided to go with these floral ones. These poppy flowers are gorgeous. They are one of my two favorite flowers. The other one is are the peonies, but I really love this combination of this red with the pink. There's also red on the receipt, so it works really well. And this time I didn't want to cover up the whole thing again, so I just had a partial image, and I just put Mod Podge on the receipt and then glued that over the top. So all of them are done now, and so I'm just covering them all with Mod Podge. I'm also covering the last two, but I figure you don't need to see me do all of that. Okay, so now all pieces are done. I think there was 5 in total, and I'm just cutting off the excess. So now everything is really dry. That is important, and that makes it really easy to cut it off, because wherever the Mod Podge is, it became kind of hard and stiff, so it's easy to cut along there. And again, you don't need to watch me cut all of them, so I'm just, yeah, so now I'm all done with those. So now it's time to start using them. So I'm starting off with this receipt in my no-sew junk journal, and I'm looking for a page that I can attach this to be a pocket, top-loading pocket. And I wanted to just use this circle punch. It's a 1.5 inch circle punch to make a half circle as kind of like an opening at the top, just to make it easier to pull out whatever I was gonna put in there, which I didn't know yet what it was. And then I am of course distressing my edges, and I realized it's kind of hard to do it like this because the paper is not really that stiff, so I decided to do a more softer distress version. And it's easier to do that like that. And then I decided to sew that onto my page, and voila, very quickly I was able to sew it on with a very messy stitching, and I really like that. And it has a really interesting feel, this page now, because it's not a cardstock. It was just a thin receipt, and with the Mod Podge over it, it kind of makes it feel almost leathery. It's very, very strange. And now I have these new stamps, which were actually part of a die cut set that I bought locally at the store Action, which is a Dutch chain. So unfortunately I cannot give you a link for that, but you can use, if you want to use this method, just use any stamp you have, whether it has letters or pattern or anything like that, design. You can just randomly stamp it on the page. And now I have this cute one that's from the same set, which says vintage stamps, and I really like that. I'll show you a close-up here. Loving that. And I was considering putting some white gesso over it, but then I thought, no, I actually like the brilliance of it. So I put it back in my journal. And then I decided to add this bingo card. Now what I did with that was, on the back, I didn't like this back. So I decided to glue some coffee dyed paper onto it. So I'm just smoothing that out a bit, and I'm going to take my stamp block to just kind of smooth it out some more. And then I'm just going to cut off the excess. And then I thought I was going to stamp some like corners, some decorative corners on it. And these are some stamps, I believe they're from AliExpress. I will try to link them below. And I kind of make a mistake here, because I choose this one corner stamp and I use a random ink that has like a brown, beautiful brown color. It's not a permanent ink, but it doesn't matter in this case. So I use this stamp for my corners, and it's a beautiful stamp. And I realized after stamping these two corners that it actually doesn't really work for all four corners, because you see one side is longer than the other, so it doesn't really work. So I decide to then just use another corner stamp which has both sides the same length. And yeah, it wasn't the plan to have two different kinds of corner stamps on this page, but actually it's totally fine. It doesn't bother me. I guess maybe you could even say it's more interesting like this. And yeah, so it's fine actually. It's definitely different. And what I wanted to do on this card is, so I recently started a calligraphy course, and we're learning like classic calligraphy with a dip pen. Although the first, see, this is the first nib we're starting with, and I've never worked with a nib like this before, and it was very challenging. I think it took me like 3 days to figure out how to make a solid stroke with this nib. I don't know what it's called in English. And another interesting thing was, I learned there that you're actually never supposed to dip your pen in the ink. You're supposed to take a brush, like I'm doing here, dip the brush in the ink, and then with the brush you ink up your nib. So that was interesting, that you're always kind of, you have two tools in two hands. That was challenging, but now I really enjoy it. And this was the first alphabet we learned, and I unfortunately don't know the name of it in English. In German we say Blockschrift, and it's the most basic font that you have, which is the base for most of your other alphabets. And the next one is going to be Antiqua or Antica. I don't know how you pronounce it correctly. And the reason why I wanted to do this was because I wanted to just document my progress. So this is after 1.5 weeks of learning, and it's far from perfect, but I'm okay with it. And it's harder to work on this kind of paper than on the smooth Rhodia paper that I've been practicing on. So I like having that there as just a documentation. So now next I wanted to use this decoupaged herbal card as a tuck spot. So I am just cutting that down to fit the size of my page, and I'm putting it on this beautiful ledger paper that I received from Allison. And I again decided to sew that on rather than glue it on, because when you sew it on, I think it's less messy, and I don't know, maybe it's less flat. I don't know if that sounds weird, but anyway, I love this stitching. It's just beautiful. And of course, the beauty again of a no-sew journal is that you can just take pages out, put more in or whatever, and it just makes your life so much easier. And I wanted to put in this pocket that I actually made myself from a book page. Very simple. You just have this longer card, you fold it up, and then you add another piece on the bottom, and you just sew all around it, or you glue all around it. Either works. Ink it up, and there you have 2 pockets. It's really fun, really cute, really quick. And so I decided to just add some ephemera that I had laying around. I wanted to just kind of display some of that in these pockets. And so I'm just going through my stock of medium size ephemera, trying to pick out some pieces that would fit in there that could be nicely displayed. And I changed a few bits around, but these 2 receipts are again from Allison. Allison is receipt obsessed. Vintage receipt obsessed. It's so funny. And tickets, but I think we all love tickets. And then I come across Allison's mushroom cards that she had sent me in her last Happy Mail, and I knew instantly that those were what I wanted to have in that little pocket card thing. So I took the other bits out again, and I'm adding a couple of mushroom images in these pockets, and now actually everything in the pockets is from Allison, which is great. Love having that there, and they're displayed really nicely. And I also love the receipts there, and that just peeks out of that tuck spot, and I love it. Next, I'm going to do something in Allison's journal. If you're interested in her journals, she makes these wonderful door journals, among other things. I am so in love with them. And I will leave her Instagram down below in case you want to contact her if you want any journals yourself. You can just send her a direct message there. And I am trying to choose a page where I could add this Uno scorecard, and then since it's too wide for this journal, I thought I would just kind of make a flip out there, and I would journal underneath. So I'm just kind of folding that, and then I am gluing that part down onto the page. It's kind of like a hidden writing spot. And then I wanted to look up, I wanted to Google ways to stay motivated, because we all have days where we're not so motivated, but we still gotta get stuff done. So I found a post on Google's which says 11 ways to stay motivated and focused to achieve your goals. And so I listed the 11 things, and I will read you those. And if you're interested to read more about any of these headlines, I'm going to link this below in case you want to have a look. So 1 was, don't assume money will motivate you. 2, make sure they are your goals. 3, visualize the results. 4, break the goal down into smaller pieces. 5, tap into other people's energy. 6, get organized. 7, keep the big picture in mind. 8, don't worry about what you can't control. That's really important one. 9, seek out positive information. 10, remind yourself why you set the goal. And 11, be consistent. So a lot of these sound very obvious, but I think it doesn't hurt to be reminded of some of these, and it's good to read what's behind these headlines as well. Now lastly, I wanted to use this long flashcard. I'm going back to my own journal, and I figured why not use it as a bookmark. So I'm using this design block, which is embossed. I don't know where to get it because this was a gift from a colleague. So I'm looking for a paper that has a color that will work with the color of the roses. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put that on the back side of my what is going to be a bookmark. So I'm just gluing that down with my glue stick. And then I thought I would kind of make like a tab at the top, but rather than attaching one, I just wanted to punch one out, and I thought I would try it with my envelope punch board, and that turned out pretty weird because I didn't make it long enough, so it doesn't really look like a tag, like a tab. So you'll see in a moment. So I had this wavy thing. I was like, okay, this is interesting. So I decided to just cut those two sides, and it doesn't really look like a tab, but I guess it's still an interesting shape. I thought I'll just go with that. And then I wanted to round these corners, and I have this new corner rounder from AliExpress. I will link that down below, and I love it because it makes tiny round corners. I'll show you a close-up in a second. I love these so much. Look how tiny they are. Really cute. So yeah, linking that below. Of course, I'm inking the edges front and back. And I wanted to attach an image on the back as well because it was too plain, and I found this one, which was in a Happy Mail. I think it was from Demi, if I'm not mistaken. I've already inked around it, so you don't have to watch me do that, and I'm just gonna glue her on the back. I love this woman golfer. I don't know if they really had women golfers because I assume that was a man's sport, but who knows, maybe she was doing it secretly. Then I decided to punch a hole on the top there and put an eyelet through just to make it look a little more fancy. So I'm using my Recollections Crocodile. I also have one of those linked below if you need to find one, but I bought one at Joann's in the States. And I am just gonna put that there for now. And then I thought, okay, it kind of needs a ribbon. So I'm using this sari silk ribbon. It's from GoodKarmaLlama, which I bought on Etsy, and it's called Forest Green. I will check if they currently have their shop open because the last few times I checked they were on a break. So not sure if they actually have a shop right now. But if you're looking for this kind of sari silk, just search for sari silk on Etsy or probably even eBay, but I've never shopped on eBay. You will find a lot of shops that have beautiful sari silk. And so yeah, I just made this little bow and attached that. So that is my bookmark. So hope you enjoyed this. I post every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday, so I hope to see you back in one of my next videos. Have a wonderful day. Bye.